knew how I felt, and they didn't know how I felt. They didn't know to ask how I felt. And even if they had, I wouldn't have known what to say because I didn't have the emotional intelligence. And so when I became a therapist and was fascinated with subconscious programming. And I started to learn a lot. I use muscle testing in my practice. And with the muscle testing, what I'm able to do with my fast track technique is to get into the subconscious programming of people, adults, and find out where their blocks come from. And it wasn't long before I started to recognize that these blocks, these limitations, were often in place before the age of 7. Of course, 7 is the age when we move into logic. At age 2 and 3, we're responding. We're not making logical decisions, but our programming starts right from the get-go. Our programming starts in the womb, and we can even inherit it from our parents. So, what I discovered that whether somebody came to me with money issues, whether they came with relationship problems, all these adult things, that the system I use would always go back to a much earlier time in their lives when these limitations started to happen. Those limitations, if they started at 2, 3, 4, 5, would then extend themselves into the bigger world as that person got older and their world expanded. So, being a playful little character, I decided to create something for children, to go back and to help children so they could unravel their ball of string before they got to the age of 30, 40, 50, and they started to have to come to therapists and work out their bigger issues. And that's how Fast Track for Kids and now Magical You has come into being. And so in many, many ways, who did I create this for? Well, I created it for myself. And it's been a very, very interesting journey because I taught this game to psychologists, school counselors, to teachers, to parents. And so it's a very, very simple game, which allows the child to be able to identify emotions, their own emotions, and to make choices about what they want to do with that, while physically doing an energetic release to release the blockage from their system. It's very simple. It's very, very clever. And that is what we're going to, that is how Magical You came into being. And that's what I'm going to show you today, and that's what we're going to play with. Any questions at this point? All right.
Just quickly wanted to let everybody know we had a few people that wanted to attend and can't. So we are recording this session and gonna put it into that Facebook group. I hope that's okay with everybody. Just wanted to let everybody know. Thank you.
Thanks, Robin. So let me introduce you to Magical You. So our character, as you can see, is a U-shaped vessel. This character is without gender, although I can't help calling Magical You he. But we on purpose, I created a character without gender, without color. And that was before all this America stuff just went ballistic. I just did it because it made sense to me. So Magical You is the character that's in every card, so that when the child connects to the game or they start to play the game, they play it as you, with you, or they go on the journey with you. And you is in every card, so there's no breakup. It's the same character going on the whole journey. And this shows the back of the box. And this is you. And again, this is not about what's happening. This is about what you thinks is happening. So this is you's truth, not mum's truth, not dad's truth. And this is the truth that we work with the child when we play the game. So with Magical You, the child always wins the game, always. If it's a parent playing with a child, there is no projecting desires, the adult preference of how things should be. It's allowing the child to find their own way through the game, through their own experience. And what is majorly exciting about that is when, especially when a parent plays the game with a child, they get to understand how the child is feeling in that moment. So as a parent, if the child is freaking out about not having the latest iPad or phone or whatever, to a parent, that might not seem like a big deal. But if it's a big deal to the child, then it's a big deal to the child. And that situation is going to get remembered in their subconscious as a big deal, no matter what mum and dad think about it. And that big deal will be remembered as negative subconscious programming for the rest of their lives, unless it's released, identified and released. One situation that I mentioned, just to give you an idea of what can happen to a child. If you say, for instance, just imagine yourself, you're 2 or 3 years old, super curious, looking to find your way in the world. And you're playing a game at the top of the stairs. And you've already been told, don't do this or don't do that. And you've been told, don't do that because your mum wants to keep you safe. But all you're being is mischievous, not naughty. You're being mischievous and you think you're going to get away with it. And you're playing this game and all of a sudden something happens. It goes wrong and bang, you bounce down the stairs and hurt yourself. Now you imagine what happens to a child that does that. Well, the first thing is shock. They know immediately that they're doing something they were told they should not. So that's the first thing that's going to get remembered in their programming as some kind of shock, or I'm a bad person. Then you've got the physical trauma of the fall to the bottom of the stairs or whatever that was. That then can get remembered. When they eventually reached the bottom of the stairs, mum could have come screaming from the kitchen, distressed and anxious and shouting, I told you not to do that before. So the child who's expecting a lovely big hug and a kiss at the bottom of the stairs gets shouted at, which is another shock and trauma. And you think about how many times a child falls down between the ages of 1 to 10. That's a lot. And the information or the instructions that they're given that are contrary to their intention. So it's these things, it's not actually what happened, it's how the child felt. And that is what gets recorded. And there's a lot of confusion. And this confusion then can build and build. So eventually these instances can kind of gather together and they can become programming responses and behavior patterns. And they can limit the child's curiosity. They can put fear into their programming. And it can also make them confused over the messages that they get from the parent or the adult that was involved. You know, many times with the child, we tell a child to grow up, and then we tell them to shut up. And then we wonder why they stop talking to us, or why they stop sharing. They get mixed messages from all over the place. And they might then go out and share this information or their problems with their peers who are no better off to help them. Or even worse, they might refer to TV and to videos to find out the solution, which won't be love guided, I don't suppose. They might see it on the movies, and this is what you do. You fight back, you retaliate. So there's a lot of pressure on kids these days. There's a lot of pressure on me because I just didn't understand anything. I didn't understand the world. But I think even now there's more pressure on the children to be something, to do something, and they're coming in more and more sensitive than ever before. So the stresses of the world are so much greater, and they are, let's say, they're wired differently. So they're wired differently than we were wired. And yet we still try to make them fit into the mold that we were put into. Whether we like the mold we were put into or not, we tend to pass this stuff on. So Magical You is a game where a child can start to experience and work their own stuff out with the guidance of an adult. And if that adult happens to be a parent, then they get to feel and understand exactly how the child is feeling in that moment. And that gives an extremely broadened sense of trust. It's not about whether you love your child, but it's whether they feel safe or confident. It opens up a different level of communication because of the language that's used through the game. So Robin's going to share the screen and he's going to show you the cards that we use with Magical You and how we've got them set out. And I'll tell you a bit about them and then we'll play.
One moment, coming right up.
Here we go. Thank you, Robin. Can you see that, everybody? Okay. Robin's not on his usual computer, so maybe, well, let me just show, I will show you the cards when we play, but this is just the set out of the game. So down here in the left, you've got a set of negative emotions. We've got scared, we've got worried, lonely, embarrassed, frustrated, sad, angry, left out, different. These are a lot of the ways that children do feel when their world isn't working the way that they think it should. And they might be feeling one or more of these, but they don't know. Often they might know if they're angry, they might know if they're sad, they might know if they're happy, but they've not really ever had the chance to investigate these emotions. And so when we're playing the game, we ask them to name the game and the game is the situation that's bothering them. And then how does that game make them feel? And they will choose cards from here. Now, every time they're asked a question, they have to go into their subconscious to get the answer. So they will come out with 2 or 3 or maybe even more emotions of how they feel. So that means they're making contact with it. The next section up here is where did it happen? So you've asked another question and they have to go inside to access that information. So they're getting closer to it. So it might have happened at school, at home. It might be about bullying. It could be an accident. It might be learning. So by the time they've chosen cards from here and here, they've found out where it is in the body. It's woken up and it's getting ready to be released. And the child doesn't know this, doesn't need to know this. So then what we ask the child is, what do they want to do with these emotions? Now they've identified them, they give them a number, they say, oh, I feel it in my tummy and it feels like a 7. What do you want to do with it? So we bring in the visuals then, and they tell you what they want to do with it. And we do a release and they start to let that go. And they're imagining all the time what they're going to do with it. They're going to send it to outer space, put it in the bin, jump all over it, whatever. I can see Marianne's already releasing something here. So then what we find is that the number of the intensity of the feeling drops. And then depending on how much it drops, the child then has got the choice to discard any cards. If they send them to outer space, it's like, okay, so how many cards did you get rid of? And they can start to throw away cards, put them back in the pile. And then we move over here. And so you've still got something left in your stomach. What do you need to let that go? So they look at each of these cards and they might need a hug. Or who do they need a hug from? They might need support. Or who do you need that for? And they're having to think and consider. And of course, when you're playing a game with a child, they're always right. It's always interesting. You're always curious and surprised and dazzled by their answers. So you're encouraging them to open up and share these emotions with you. So at first, my experience is that children are a little suspicious of adults asking questions. They're not really sure how to answer in case they're told they get it wrong. But once they get used to you and they can see that you're fully receiving their answers with respect and playfulness, then they get a lot more verbal and they will give you more information. So then when they've received whatever it is they've chosen to have, generally that level of intensity will have reduced considerably, very, very often to a 0, which means that that problem now energetically has gone from their body. So then we do what we call a reprogramming. And then down this bottom section here on the right is, how do they want to feel now? So do they want to feel happy, special, loved? Do they want to feel, what's this one down here? I can't remember one. We've got brave, safe, or strong, loved. And they get to choose as many of these as they really, as they want. And they download the energy of that into their body. What you'll see over here on the far right is the magic card. And so if by any chance there is a sticky part in the process, the child is able to bring in the magic card and to physically, if they're up for it, physically throw that card at the emotions or the situation that won't shift. But they do it by bringing in their own magic. Their magic could be Harry Potter, it could be Superman, one of their superheroes, whatever it is that they decide is magic and special. So they physically throw this card at whatever's stuck, and it's amazing to see how that shifts. Also, the magic is something that they can bring in during the reprogramming to be part of how they want to feel. It's a game of curiosity, playfulness, and I teach people how to play it. But everybody takes this game and does something different with it because there are no rules. Why are there no rules? Because there's no two children alike. But when you allow a child, you give a child choice and they play this game, you will be amazed at what they will tell you. You will be amazed at their perception of the world, and you'll get to understand how they work. And when that happens, massive, massive healing happens, and the change becomes, what should I say? for children is that it empowers them. It empowers them to be more of who they are, not to be anything different, just to be more and to understand themselves more and to be able to verbalize what they want and how they feel. So very, very simple game. One of the stories that I love to tell is about a 3.5-year-old little girl. And I trained her mum to use the Fast Track for Kids. And she had to go to school. She was okay for the first week until she realized she had to go every day. And then it became a bit of a drama. And she started to act out, cry, didn't like school. She was an only child, and mum, of course, wanted to help her feel better. So she had the bright idea of using the cards. And so she said, well, why don't you take you to school in your bag? So they went through the cards. And she decided that she wanted to take safe. So she put safe in a little bag, goes off to school, came home, mum said, how was it? And school was fine. It had worked out very, very well. So the next day, mum being mum, or mum's being mum, and I say that with respect, mum brings up the subject and says, are you going to be okay at school today? Like waking up the story again. The little girl, so sweet, she picked up this card and she says, Mummy, you need this. So in that way, you could see there's an expansion of vocabulary and understanding. And mum got to really see herself from a child's perspective. And the little girl went off to school that day and also didn't cry that day. So I think it's a lovely story to show you the versatility of the cards. So that is a brief description of how it works. Any questions? And then we'll play. Any questions?
Nope.
Who said no?
Tomo.
Oh,
no questions.
Okay. So the best way to understand this is to play the game. When we play the game, Robin will talk to us about a training that is on offer so that you can learn how to play the game in its simplest form. It's only 3 hours. But what I would like is for somebody to volunteer to be a guinea pig for this. And to be a guinea pig for this, it will be about going back into your memory and thinking about something that happened to you when you were younger. It's best to go back to when you were younger, so we can isolate one thing that still got a negative charge, but not the biggest thing in your life. If your parents argued every day of your life till you were 12, you don't want to bring up something huge like that. So, but an issue that you can still feel, but is not majorly important. And I say that, not majorly important, because we don't want to do that as a demonstration. It wouldn't be fair. I couldn't give it my full attention. And you might not feel quite comfortable. So is there anybody here that would like to be that person and have an experience?
If nobody else will volunteer, I'll volunteer.
Well, that's very kind of you, Tom. Let's put your camera on then.
Ah, that old chestnut. Hang on, I'm lying down on my side at the moment. Okay.
We promise
Tom's
you.
getting excited. He thinks he's off out for a walk, but he's wrong. Sorry, mate.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'd like you to think about, Tomo, is, as I say, go back into your life and something that happened to you that you're still remembering that you don't feel so good about it. And if that was a game, what would you name the game?
Sorry, what would I? I'm just turning everything off in the background here. Okay, so you want me to go back to a childhood trauma,
Yes.
and what would I call it in the game?
Yeah. You see, children, they're not always going to talk to you. So I'm not disrespecting calling your stuff a game, like something.
Yeah. No.
But a child, if you ask them,
Do I tell you now what the trauma is that I'm going to be doing, or do I just put a name on it?
just tell us what you would call the game.
What I'd call the game?
Yeah.
Spanx.
Sorry?
Spanx.
SP?
ANKS.
Okay. You see, a child sometimes wants to talk about their stuff, sometimes they don't. But by asking them to name the game, they've had to go inside and connect to it to give you a name. So this is why I asked you to name the game. Now, if you'd like to give us some, and so what I've done, when Spanx happened to you, Tomo, how old were you approximately?
It was junior school when I was at grammar school, so it'd have been about 7 to 10, 11.
7 to 10.
Is that too old?
No, I'll put down age 10, about age 10.
Yes, it was definitely happening at 10.
Okay. So what I've done, in the box of cards, there's a blank card. So what I've done, I've written on this Post-it, Spanx, 10 years old. Now, if Tomo was here, or if he was that 10-year-old little boy, I pass this card to him, and this becomes his game. Right, so I'm virtually passing that to you, Tomo. So now I'm going to show you some cards. Ideally, these will be laid out in front of you, as you've just seen. But I'm going to show you these cards, and I want you to tell me which of these cards, and there could well be more than one, do you feel a charge to, connected to Spanx when you were 10?
Definitely. No.
All right.
Yes. Yes.
So I'll just mention here, as adults, we're reading these words. A child sometimes can't read the words. It's more important for the child to look at that picture. The cards do the work. This is why we don't need to be professional therapists. The card does the work of the therapist. So did you say yes or no to that one, Tomo?
Yes. No. No. Yes.
Okay. So let me ask you, out of all these characters, which one was you, age 10?
Probably frustrated because of the picture, the sort of angry.
Was it this one? Was this you?
Sorry?
Was this one you, age 10?
Sorry, are you asking me which card?
No, this is the card. Which of these characters is you?
Oh, well,
You were 10.
the white one.
Okay, and who were these guys here?
They're the other people that were in the room.
The other people, right? Were they family or?
No, they were other school children.
Okay. You see, he's had to go back in again to give me that information.
Yes, scared. Yep, yep.
Okay. And that scared when you were 10, is it inside or out?
Both, actually.
All right, good.
Very much. Yep. Yep.
So something that was not supposed to be very big, he's chosen nearly all the cards. Doesn't
Yes.
it? It's interesting, Tomo, you know, this is the point, that there's all that going on for something that you saw as not really significant. Right?
Actually, it is quite a significant one. I forgot to make it trivial. Sorry.
All right, okay. So now I'm going to send you some more cards, and I want you to tell me, where did this story of Spanx happen?
Sometimes there. It was at school, yes, so learning, yep.
So we've got a school one. Is it more school than learning, or was it about learning?
It's school. It's not about learning. No. Yes. No. No.
Okay, great. So now you've chosen your cards. So where do you feel that in your body?
Neck.
Okay, what does it feel like, Tomo?
Tight.
Tight. 0 to 10. Can you give it a number?
6.
Okay. Anywhere else?
No.
Okay, all right. Now, children, they're more connected to the bodies than we are. So people say, oh, how can a child give a number? They can give a number. If they can't give an exact number, is it a lot or is it a little? But they know exactly where it is in the body. They're still quite connected. So when thinking about yourself when you're 10, Tomo, those emotions of scared and frustrated, embarrassed, all that stuff that happened at school and sometimes at home, do you think you wanted to hold on to those emotions or not?
No.
Okay. So as a 10-year-old, what do you think you would have wanted to do with them?
What would I have wanted to do with them?
Yeah.
Destroy them.
Destroy them. How would you have destroyed them? Any idea?
I think I'd have enjoyed taking a baseball bat to them.
A baseball bat. All right. And with a baseball bat, you would have destroyed it.
Yeah. Properly smashed.
Smashed. Okay, all right. So what we're going to do, because you've got quite a lot of cards here, I'm just going to choose the first 3, and we're going to work with those and see what happens. All right. All right. So I'm choosing these 3 here. I'm choosing, it doesn't matter what they are. I mean, you can read what they are, but we're just going to, if I picked up all of them, it might be a bit too overwhelming. So we just do a few. So I've got these special stones here, Tomo. One of them is purple, and one of them is turquoise. And one of them just happens to be very good at smashing up emotions. Which one do you think it is? The purple one or the blue one?
I'll choose the purple one.
All right, okie dokie. So, and you all might want to follow Tomo and do this with us. All right, so now we're going to smash up those emotions.
Actually, my feeling has changed. I'd like to go with the blue one. I'm really sorry.
That's all right.
I'm being very, very childish.
Well, it's interesting because that's what happens.
Yes.
He is, all right, he's 10. So just bring your fingers, I've got the stone, but you bring your fingers to the bridge of your nose.
Should I grab a magnet?
Okay, you've got a magnet, right?
Yeah, I'll grab a magnet.
We use these stones, you get 2 stones in the kit, but we can also use magnets or crystals. All right, and Tomo's
a smiley one from Bangkok. You gave me this.
That's a long time ago, isn't it? All right, okay. So do this with me. I'm Tomo.
I'm Tomo.
And I'm going back to being 10.
I'm going back to being 10.
that game of Spanx
That game of Spanx
that happened at school
that happened at school
and sometimes at home.
and sometimes at home.
And I'm going to get all the embarrassed,
I'm going to get all the embarrassed,
the angry and frustrated
the angry and frustrated
that I'm remembering in my neck.
that I'm remembering in my neck.
I'm going to smash it with a baseball bat,
I'm going to smash it to pieces with a baseball bat.
destroy it
Destroy it
forever and ever,
forever and ever.
right now. Oh,
Right now.
whoa. So now we just see what we have achieved. So just connect with that tightness in your neck, Tomo, and it felt like about a 6. What's happened to that now?
Yes. It's reduced.
Okay, what would the number be now?
2.
2. Right. So that you see what happens, the child, they're doing that. I can explain why we do that afterwards. And they feel different. So they know they've done it. So they're empowered. So now I'm going to show you the cards again, 10-year-old Tomo. And I want you to tell me which cards you still need, you still think you feel, and which ones you feel that you've really smashed with a baseball bat. Okay?
It's gone. Yep.
Go.
Still a little bit angry, yes. Still a
Yeah.
bit of that. That's kind of shifted. It's not so relevant.
That was inside and out.
No, that's gone. Gone.
Hold on.
Yeah, not worried. Still a little, yeah, that's still.
Right. So this is an interesting card because generally a child chooses it because they feel different and it feels negative. But at some point, sometimes it's like, no, they like this because they start to understand that they're unique and they're different.
Mm.
And you're definitely different, Tommy. So does this feel negative, a little bit negative still?
I just don't feel a particular desire to chuck it away.
All right, great. Okay. So what I've got...
I don't mind being different.
Right, okay, all right. So I've got Spanx age 10. Do you still want that?
Well, I'd much rather not.
Off it goes. And then we got these two.
Mm-hmm.
Are we kind of done with those?
I'm always happy to hang on to home, but school can be thrown away.
All right.
I don't have the negative connotations about home that I do about school.
Okay. So what we've got a bit of different and a bit of angry. And it feels like a number 2 in your neck. So I'm going to show you some more cards. And I want you to tell me what you think that age 10 you needed to be able to let that 2 in your neck go.
That would have been good.
All right. And who are these characters?
My parents should have been supporting. Away from it all, that would have been nice.
Do you need this card?
It would be nice, yes. Again, family, yes. Yep. Yep.
And which one of these characters is you, Tomo?
I'm the one sitting on the lap.
All right. And this is who?
My parents again.
All right.
Nope, don't need that. Who doesn't want a hug?
All right. So you're 10. Who did you want the hug from?
Again, parents.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. If your parents had understood how you felt back then, like if my parents had understood how I felt, do you think that they would have given you more of what you needed?
I'm not sure.
Mm.
It was a very complicated scenario. They
Yeah.
weren't really aware of what was happening.
Yes.
I'm not sure if they'd have believed me. I didn't really tell them.
Hmm. But do you think if that's what they knew that you really needed?
I think if they'd really understood how bad it was, what was going on, they would have probably removed me from the school.
Right. Okie dokie. So
Maybe.
let's bring in that hug from your mum and your dad, okay, to dissolve that remaining tight in the neck. All right. So I've got quite a lot of cards here. It's too many for me to handle, but let's just do this together. Blue or purple? Stone.
Good.
And Tomo.
Tomo.
And I'm going back to the age
to the age of 10.
when Spanx happened.
When Spanx happened.
And I needed to feel supported by my parents.
And I needed to feel supported by my parents.
But they didn't even know.
They didn't really know.
So they couldn't even do it.
So they weren't able to do it.
So I'm thinking I can let myself have a hug.
So I'm thinking I can let myself have a hug.
And let go.
And let go.
Of this tightness in my neck.
Of this tightness in my neck.
And I might even forgive someone.
Sorry, you broke up.
And I might even forgive someone.
Oh, I struggle with that. I might even forgive someone.
Because they didn't know any better. Just thinking about your parents.
Okay, yep. In that case, yes, I can forgive them because they didn't know better.
Right. So I'm forgiving my parents.
So I'm forgiving my parents.
They were doing the best they could.
They were doing the best they could.
And I'm happy to let that go.
And I'm happy to let that go.
To feel supported and listened to.
Feel supported and listened to.
To be different in a good way.
To be different in a good way.
And to keep my own space.
And to keep my own space.
For myself.
For myself.
It happened.
It happened.
It's over.
It's over.
I'm okay.
I'm okay.
Now.
Now.
Take a deep breath. So the remaining 2 in your neck, Tomo, what does that feel like now?
The tightness is gone.
Yeah. Cool. So I'm going to show you. So
It really has actually. It was very, very tight, and it was really around the scar from my operation from 2 years ago.
oh, really?
Yeah, it was really tight, and it's just completely relaxed.
Isn't it interesting? The stuff we carry and how long we carry it for.
Yeah.
So do you still need this?
No.
Do you feel that you've received that now?
All feels good around family.
Do you need this one?
Don't mind my own space, but it's not as necessary as it was. I still feel a bit different.
All right. Okay. Is that positive or negative?
Positive, I think.
I think so too.
Listen to, yeah, I'm fine. That's fine. Supported is good. And I felt almost as though I'd had a hug during that bit there.
Not bad. So we just got one more step, and this is the best bit. So I'm going to show you the last set of cards. And just thinking about when you were 10, how that 10-year-old you would prefer to feel. And you can have more than one.
It would have been lovely to have, to have felt loved. I was loved, but I didn't really feel it. So, yeah.
Right.
Special would have been good to feel that way. Yeah. Brave, unnecessary. Don't need that.
Yeah, right. If you said you wanted it, I wouldn't let you have it.
Happy's always good. Strong, yep.
All right, okay. So what I'm going to do, Tomo, is I'm going to hold these up. I'm going to put them up on the screen. So when we work with somebody, the child or the big child in this case, hold cards up high. They put them up on the screen like this, and so that the energy can start to flow. So I'm going to hold them up for you. And I want you to look at these. Let's start with strong. And I want you to breathe that strong into your body. Take it down into your neck, Tomo, and you just tell me when you feel that strong's complete.
Okay, can you hear me? Because we lost the internet connection there. Yes, I've got the strong. The strong's good.
All right, breathing happy.
Yes, I've got happy, but we're getting a bad internet connection now. Special.
Breathe it in. Take it down to your fingers, down to your toes.
Okay, yep, that's special.
And the last but not least, bring that in, a big loved smile. Yeah. Difficult to resist, isn't it?
Yep, got loved.
All right, take a deep breath. How do you feel?
Very good. Very good, thank you.
So that's it, folks.
Yeah, anybody who was watching that, I have to tell you, that was actually excellent. And I wouldn't say just for kids. I think that this is perfectly capable of working very well with adults.
It's a good point. We say that the game is from age 4 to 12 for kids. It's designed for kids. But I've been working with a lot of adults with it. up to, let's say, age 70. And the youngest one we've ever worked with, not me, I haven't. I've worked with a little girl of 3, but somebody's actually worked with one age 2.5, I think. And there's a little girl the other day in Ireland, actually, Marianne, and she picked up, she's 1 year old, or maybe she's just 2. And she picked up this card and she said, "That's you, Daddy." And it's Granddad. So she's already doing the ancestral thing, and she was spot on. So it's for kids of all ages. But if we're going to say, you know, a section, so we say 4 to 12, because age 12, if a child is, you know, a bit sophisticated and they think they're, you know, that's a kid's game, they're not going to play it, so it can't work. But it's the kids of all ages, but predominantly 4 to 12.
Also, I have to say, we just recently played it with some teenagers, and again, it's amazing because it just resonates so much. It's not just the words, it's the character, it's what's on there. And then in the child within us, for me, it's always my inner child loves playing this game.
Well, it was very simple. The actual you, the character, reminds me of Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy, who everybody loves.
Okay. I think he's adorable. I just love him to bits, and I just love him to bits. But I've just trained a whole bunch of adults in Ireland, and they're all NLP-based people, and nearly all of them wanted to do sessions with me, magical use sessions, and it was incredible how it worked, how this simple thing worked for them, and they saw changes in their family situations immediately, like within hours. It was quite remarkable, because I would normally do fast track technique, which is, you know, more sophisticated and it's like a laser, but it was just absolutely incredible to see how this the character does the work, wakes up the memories. And then the stone, what we're doing with the stone is we are using it as a vehicle to release emotions. So as you know, this is part of the governing meridian. And it goes from here, it goes all the way down to the coccyx. So you can use the stone in many ways. We do all of this on the training. But from the governing meridian, there are thousands of energy lines that travel out to all the organs and different places in the body. So once the child has identified what it is and where it is, then, and what they want to do with it, then the intention is sent out down through all those energy channels to where that thing is being remembered in the body. So it physically does work. It's not just a placebo. It actually releases blockages of energy. So it's introducing kids to energy work as well as empowering them to make choices. Well, to know that they've got a choice. Marianne, what comments do you have?
Yeah, very powerful. And I think it's equally powerful for adults as for kids. And I think you're just helping the person identify the emotions. And we're all emotional people, but it can be hard for us to put our finger on exactly which emotions we are feeling, or, you know, but yeah, to me, it seems really powerful and really fast. So it's a brilliant tool for anybody who's working with, I think, most likely adults or children, or also I'd say, I think teenagers might be fairly open to that as well. So I think I'll probably mention it to somebody I know who works with mainly young people, because I think it might just be something kind of interest to her as well.
Yeah. I think I just put this caveat on just in case, because you can have some kids real smart.
Yeah.
I had an
absolutely.
11-year-old and there was no way in the world. And he told lies, but it still worked, even though he was telling lies. It was not the easiest session I've done in the world. And also because he was not invested in change, he wouldn't let it, he didn't change. So I do like to put that age restriction in just in case. But what we're also doing on the training is that I show you how to work with it on yourself, for yourself. So it does mean that people without, I know your experience, but people who don't have experience can play this game by themselves, for themselves, and find out just a whole pile of stuff that got remembered and release it.
I'd just like
and
to...
I think I kind of know what you mean about the magic as well. Clean language coaching is something that I do, and there are clean language cards as well, so it's kind of a definite number of questions. But if you're kind of doing that in a group, there's a kind of a little bit of magic that can come into it, and just the right question comes out of the pack at the right time, and so it's kind of very interesting when you are kind of open to it, how the cards can actually just fast track it, and just kind of get you so much farther than you would just to regular kind of speaking or talking it through. So yeah.
And I've used this on myself. I do it in my head sometimes. Lie in bed if I can't sleep. It's like, okay, I take myself on a little journey, and the cards start to take on different meanings the more you get used to them, or you're looking for something and like, oh, okay. So like the magic card, at one point I needed a hug. So the question was, okay, who do you need the hug from? I'm like, I need it from God. And so this smart Alec Jazz said to me, she said, well, we haven't got a God card. And I'm like, no, we haven't, but we do have a magic card. Lost it now. So I used the magic card as God. And I broke down like masses of tears as I received this hug from God.
You got exactly what you needed.
I'd really just like to make one comment here. And one of the things that really was very, very nice about this was I at no point actually told you what the trauma was.
No.
I at no point had to actually expose myself. I didn't have to make myself vulnerable at any time. And I really get how important that is for children, but I think actually it's just as important for adults. It may even be more important for adults, actually, because adults are quite a lot more inhibited than children.
Yes. So, and that's great. And that's why we say name the game, because when they name the game, it means they don't have to give us the details. Obviously, if they want to give us details, that's fine. But it's not required because they've named the game, and it doesn't matter even what they call it. They've had to think of it, which means they've gone inside.
And also, because of the playfulness of the cards, I gave it a playful name.
Right.
If the cards had been different, the name would have been different, and it would have been far more.
Yes.
It would have been far less pleasant a name.
Gigi, what was your experience?
Well, I found it really interesting, and I also noticed that actually at no point did we actually find out more or need to find out more about what specifically happened.
Yes.
Which is really helpful, I think, because it makes both players, well, especially the one that's telling the story, going on the journey, a lot less vulnerable.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for that. Gigi, yes. Sorry, can you unmute? Okay, now we
Okay.
got you, yes.
All right. I think it's really powerful. It's a regression without resorting to hypnotherapy. But
Yes.
my pressing question right now is this a band-aid solution that might make someone feel good, but then again, the trauma would still be recurring? So it's just for the moment, or is this a permanent solution? Is it like pulling the trauma from the root so that it doesn't haunt you anymore? And is this something that needs to be repeated, and how often?
Right.
To really pull it out from the root, if that is the case.
So, great questions.
That's also the question I want to ask too, the same question.
Yeah. Is children, okay, so I created this game because I had so much baggage, emotional baggage, and my clients that come to me have so much emotional baggage. And that's built up over years and years and years. So it's to help the child with their stuff before the stuff builds up into situations that, to our age where we need to, or we choose to go and see somebody to help us release it. So with children, most often the stuff isn't deeply rooted like it is for us. But what I do believe, whether it's fast track, whether it whatever it is, when something is released, it's gone. But it doesn't mean to say that there isn't more of that stuff that might need to come up at another stage. So say, for instance, with Tomo's situation, is that completely gone? I don't know. But what was available today has gone. And how helpful is that for a child? If there's more, then another situation will present itself so that the child can release that. So is a child never going to have any problems? I would say that is not accurate, but this allows them to understand themselves. This is what I didn't. I was told I was shy. I had no idea. And I built up all my stuff out of ignorance and fear. Now, if there'd been a game like this when I was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and my parents had presented me with cards, I would have been able to play that game and release whatever was there. So I wouldn't have ended up being the emotional wreck I was at age 50, falling apart. So I don't think it's the answer to everything, but I think what it gives is a great understanding between adult and child. It releases what's available to be released in the moment, and that allows the child to have a different perspective on life that wasn't there before.
Guys, can I add one thing to that? Just out of personal experience. So I have 2 children that have played the game, and I've played the game myself. When I play with my daughter, who's the younger one, it's usually something that's alive right now, and she's like, I want to play the game, and it's gone. It never comes up again. I played it with my son on a very traumatizing experience that has been built up over a long time. That layer by layer, it's kind of gone. So there's still parts of it, because it, like Jess just said, something has already manifested itself. And if I go to myself, well, I'm a whole onion. So there it really goes, peel the onion, one layer, but the layers that I peeled are gone. But then there's something else exposed. So I think it's very different, but I find it so fascinating when watching children, how much they can live way more in the moment than adults do so often. I'm not saying we're not, but often that's what makes the shift. There's still the past, there's the fear of the future, while for children it's like, no, that was yesterday, I don't remember. So yeah, something shifts way faster and way more efficient at the younger ages. I wish I had that.
And me too. And I think, it's children are not as attached to their stories as we are. We all know, I mean, I've been on my spiritual journey for quite a number of years, and it beats me how attached I am to the misery, the pain, and the suffering of being a human being. It's like, how does that work? But of course, I've been living in that for many, many years. I don't want it, but I'm programmed with it. So if we can help kids not be programmed, and they've got more freedom, more to express, they have come in. It's really my belief. I get excited now. It's my belief that the children are being born to come in and fly right past us. They're here to change the world. We've done what we can. I've learned all my stuff in the old-fashioned way, the slow way. And that's really important because I have the experience and the wisdom. But these kids, they come in, they're wired different, and whoosh. I mean, they already know how to use a computer, right? They just know stuff. So they are very, very different, and they're what's going to change the world. But they need people like us to hold the space for them, and they need guidance. They need, they need to understand themselves. They're so sensitive that that a game like this helps them to express themselves to themselves and also to adults, so that they can also understand them. I get very excited about that. So this is definitely a game for the future. And you think about kids now with COVID and all the stuff that the isolation, they're told why this is happening, but they don't get it. They're annoyed they can't go and play with their friends, they can't pop next door, they're frustrated, they hear mum and dad arguing. I did a session with a little 10-year-old boy online. He had no cards. I did it just the way we did with Tomo. We accomplished 3 issues in 25 minutes. It started off as COVID, and then it switched to something else, and then it switched to something else. And he was dancing around. He thought it was just super amazing. So is that going to come back at some other stage? I don't know. But did he feel great? He certainly did. Was his mum impressed? Yes. And he's like, he said, I want to do more work with Jazz. He said, because one session can't cure everything. So, he enjoyed playing the game. Emotional intelligence.
Brilliant.
Yes, yeah. I get quite passionate about that.
I think on many levels, because I could see how the person is taken back and relives that trauma where this person becomes vulnerable again. And I think that vulnerability also makes this person susceptible to the cure, because then messages are more accessible to the subconscious. It opens up the gateway.
Yes.
So yeah, it's how I see it. And knowing what I know now and how you've approached it, wow, brilliant.
Thank you.
I'd just like to make another quick point. I was surprised that I picked that trauma because I've actually worked on that before with a different modality. And I thought I'd actually cleared it.
That's a really good point, that Tomo, because Tomo and I we've done work together with my fast track and stuff, and got good results. But there's something about what I think is, and Marion, you might have an opinion with your background on this, that we see things in pictures. So we remember things in pictures. And so when you have a picture like this connecting with the internal picture, they can dissolve each other. Whereas if you're working with words against a picture, you might be working a bit like this. And so it's like these cards, they almost like they come creeping in under the door.
We would sometimes ask people to draw something, draw it just like a 5-year-old, so it doesn't have to be in any way sophisticated. And you're kind of taking the thing then from the person's head onto the page, and it kind of seems to give them a different perspective or make it easier for them to to work it through, or to maybe see the bigger picture, or, you know, to see it from different angles. So definitely, I think so. And the other thing that can be very interesting as well, which isn't really in the game, but something called tinkering, using your hands, or even maybe the stone in that in the game. You know, it's anything that kind of gets you out of your kind of head, helps you to kind of see things from a better or a different perspective, which kind of, I think, helps you move forward more quickly.
I have one lady, and she has the cards. She's got 3 kids, and she has the cards on like a little designer washing line with pegs. And not every night, but some nights they take the child chooses a card, you know, before they go to bed, and they clear the day. So it's like active prayer. And it's lovely that the child has got their own little stone, and they can, it's their thing, you know. So we've got a 3-hour training that we've got scheduled, and Robin will tell you all about that.
Yes.
I really have to leave because I'd just like to say goodbye. I'll watch the recording to get this, Robin. I'm really sorry to butt in, but I really have to go. Thank you very, very much for your time. Thank you for demonstrating on me, because it's been wonderful. Love to all of you. Take care. See you sometime in the future.
You take care, and thank you. Thanks very much.
Yes, so thank you, Jazz. Thank you, Anthony. There's a few things I just want to mention really quickly. So not only, you know, we talked about the cards, we talked about the game. It's been really something very special that's been created, but then Jess mentioned very quickly these stones. I just want to let everybody know that these stones are made here in Bali by a very, very special man who works with energies. And we've looked very long to find somebody who can make stones that are suitable for the game. So we found somebody who can create them out of a special resin, but they are made with an intention. So there is energies, actually, this guy is a special energy master. He puts energies into these stones. So these ones are not breakable, which is really good for kids. So if they play with them, if they fall down, nothing happens. And on top, there's a little feel-good story with it. We've been able, by getting the stones from him, to support Balinese families during these difficult times here, with food and, you know, just necessities. So yeah, we feel it's very special to have these. Now for the training, so like Jess just said, we have scheduled our next live training on September the 6th. So it will be an online training. It's 3 hours long. It goes into way more detail than what we've seen here. So it really goes into the cards. There will be another demonstration, but really it will give you the possibility to train yourself, to play the game with a partner, to really learn how to use it. And we call it level 1. So that's a basic training so that you are going to be able to play the game with yourself after some time, with your children, with your partner, not in a professional level. That's another training. So this is level 1. It starts September 6th at the same time as this. So 3:30 in Thailand, 4:30 in Bali. And the training is available on Facebook. So we created an event in the Magical You Facebook page. You can contact me directly, Robin Seeger on Facebook. Just send me a message and I'm happy to connect you with where to sign up, where you get the links. We will send you a game. And if you sign up right now, we'll do our best to have that game to you before the actual training happens. So you have your own cards. You're going to be able to follow all this. Also, even if that is not the case, because shipping right now has become quite difficult sometimes. You will be able to do the training even without the cards. But if you sign up in the next few days, we'll have the cards to you in time. You will have your own set. You will be able to follow the whole training with that. And so again, September 6th, the cost for the training in euro is 198 euros. That's our special price for this, which includes the set of cards, the shipping, everything that comes with that, and the training with Jazz, so the 3-hour training. And
can you mention the training video, Robin, as well?
You can say that, but yes, absolutely. So part of the training also is a whole series of training videos that Jazz has created. So it's, and there's support beyond the training itself, again, by all the trainers. It's really not just us going, hey, here, buy a set of cards and go off. We want this to be used. This is our passion, our mission, our vision is really that anybody who's signing up for this knows how to use them and is using them so that we can make a difference, because we really believe that's what this is all about. After that, there is then obviously the possibility to become a practitioner certified. So you get certifications for all of this. You can become a certified practitioner so you can actually work with clients. That is an up level where you actually have to send in case studies that are evaluated by Jazz. There's another online training that is then really targeted to you, but we will talk about that more, because no matter which way you're going to go, the level 1 training is always a prerequisite before you can go any further. And that's not time, like the practitioner's training is really done for yourself. So that's not timed by a date. So yes, so the next training, September 6th. Let us know if you're interested and you can't make it. You're more than welcome to just get in touch with us. We had that before as well. We will continue to have trainings, and we will find a way to get you the training that you need. And thank you so much for coming today.
Any questions on that? Easy peasy.
Well, just want to thank you guys. It's been great. It has been illuminating. Yeah, this